Hello and welcome everybody. It's me, Zalreina, and today I'm going to be talking to you about something a bit different from my usual content. I'd like to share with you how or why I am deaf. I was born with a condition called Hemifacial Microsomia, which means the condition of half the face being small. I have some quotations here that I'd like to read for you. Some doctor phrases. It says, Hemifacial microsomia is a condition in which one side of the face is smaller or underdeveloped or has parts that are missing. So my affected side is my left side. Another quote says it is the second most common facial birth defect after the cleft lip and palate. So it's actually quite more common than I had expected. I had thought all my life that it was fairly rare. So that was an interesting thing to learn. It's really not certain how one gets this birth defect. There are a couple of things that are being considered, but I think the most common is that there's a lack of blood flow to the face when you are in the womb. There are some doctors that might consider it genetic, but inconclusive, really. It is also said that babies and children with hemifacial microsomia also may have medical problems involving the spine, ribs, heart, and kidney, and they should be evaluated, which is true of my experience. Well, not that I remember it, but as soon as I was born, the doctors actually took me away from my mom and conducted a lot of tests on spine, ribs, heart, kidney, even down to my womb and oh my god, I'm having a gigantic brain fart. The egg part. Oh my god, and the fallopian tubes, you know what I'm talking about. But luckily, no, for me it is neck and up that is affected, nothing super serious. I actually consider myself extremely lucky that the symptoms I have are not very serious. So the total symptoms include mostly face, jaw, teeth, and ears. I'll put a little graphic here or here so you can read it all. But I don't have all of the symptoms either. I have an unevenness or asymmetry of the face, underdeveloped facial muscles, damage to the facial nerves, which can make smiling and moving the face difficult, narrow or missing jaw joints or bones. I do actually have a narrow jaw, this side specifically. You can see some of the remnants of my jaw surgery. Kind of crazy. They like cut across the bottom in an upside down U shape and then pulled my jaw down and reattached it. They did offer me to have some kind of implant here to make the jaw more symmetrical, but I didn't want it at the time, and kind of I do now, but it's been years and I don't know if I'm that concerned. There's also the unevenness of the dental arch that causes the smile and teeth to appear tilted, which was one of my larger symptoms actually, because it made my teeth not line up and some of them were wearing down. Like when I would chew food, only a small portion of my teeth connected, and thus they were being deteriorated at a rapid rate, while the rest of the teeth were unaffected completely. So yeah, that was interesting, super interesting. And then the ear, you may have a missing ear completely, or it could be smaller or misshapen. So left ear for me is smaller and misshapen. And then deafness due to missing external ear canal and or damage to the middle ear. So I have the damage to the external ear canal and damage to the middle ear. So yes, lots of small symptoms that add up to a bigger picture for sure. So the way that it was explained to me about my ear is that basically the ear canal, which I guess is the middle ear, was crushed. And for a long time, doctors would try to look in there and they couldn't see anything except, crushed ear canal. Eventually, one doctor was able to squeeze through and actually view my eardrum and confirm that my eardrum is healthy and intact, which makes perfect sense considering that I'm able to use those Aftershokz bone conduction headphones. The headphones will rest right over your ear, and then the actual portion of the device that creates sound is here on your cheekbones. And that's what I use to do my stereo listening project videos. These headphones are promoted for athletes, but have been life-changing for me, allowing me to hear in stereo for the first time and opening the door to that series that we've been doing, listening to music in stereo. This technology is what allows me to hear with both ears without further procedures. I have actually had 3 surgeries on my left ear to make it look more like my right ear. But none of those surgeries were in effort to help me hear better. I have recently discovered that there is a procedure that could be conducted on my left ear to try to give me more hearing out of it. It's called a canaloplasty, and during that procedure, they would actually cut out part of my ear canal. It's interesting, and I am definitely considering it, but it's a long and expensive process, so we'll see. I also had braces for 6 years, and part of that whole process was leading into me having jaw surgery. So 4 total surgeries, 3 ear, 1 jaw, 6 years of braces. Lots and lots of work on my face. So the jaw surgery was meant to, like I said, correct that bite where my teeth were not connecting, and then also to try to give more of an even appearance on the outside of my jaw. I have now 28 screws in my face and 5 plates, which is interesting. I can actually feel them, especially when it gets very cold. There's a couple of spots right in my chin and next to my nose where I especially can feel the screws that are in there. A lot of my earliest memories come from being in a hospital. In fact, my first memory comes from about the age of 4, and I was doing a sound test or a hearing test. I was sat in this little booth, and I had these 2 little joysticks that I would press the button on the top if I could hear something happening in that ear. And they did a mechanical puppet show, basically, and things would pop up in front of me, and I had to, just say, can I hear things that are happening? I also spoke to a lot of children at that hospital to try and help them feel more comfortable with their procedures that they were going to have. It was a lot of oh, I already had that surgery, and here's what I look like now, and I'm happy and fine. And it was a really interesting situation to be in, and I did like feeling like I was helping people. It was definitely weird. And I saw some of the kids later, like after their surgery, and we kind of like high-fived. Oh yeah, me too. I had the surgery. I even had a surgery on or very, very close to my 10th birthday, and the hospitals gave me some birthday presents. And yeah, it was definitely a lot of interesting memories from my childhood. I think maybe not quite as unique as I had once thought. You know, growing up in my town, I was the only one who had had these kind of experiences, or at least was open to discussing them. But now, as a content creator, I've talked to a lot of other people that, you know, also had a lot of procedures as a child and spent a lot of their time in hospitals. So, um, it's definitely an interesting experience, and I'm glad to have met some of you that we can talk about this together. If any of your questions were not addressed in this video, please feel free to comment them below. I don't mind answering any questions that you may have. Thank you so much for listening and being here with me today. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day or night, whatever it is for you, and that I see you again soon. Much love and take care. Bye bye.